I just did a video on sort of the first run through of how you get into Path of Champions and go through your first few adventures. However, I realized I might have missed going into just some of the basics of how the game works and really digging into that and providing some better explanation. So I want to do a quick video here just covering the basics and understanding how turns work, what the cards are, what powers are, and everything related to that. So what I'm going to do is jump into an adventure here and go a little bit slower. So in order to first select an adventure, you just click on one of these circles, select the adventure itself, and then click Start Adventure. That'll jump you in there. Each adventure is going to have some special rules associated to it. You can look at those just by clicking on the special rule. It'll tell you what that does. This is a permanent effect for every single encounter that you are going to have in that adventure. So in this case, it's when foes units start attacking, their strongest attacking unit gets +2/+0. This side is the power of the unit. This is the toughness of the unit. When a unit reaches 0 toughness, it dies, and essentially just power is subtracted from the toughness of the defending unit, and that's how you do damage in combat. This will recommend a star level. We are currently using a 2-star Jinx, so this is recommended for 2-star. So we're sort of matching there. You can enter adventures that are higher star level than your characters, but that will just mean it's a bit more difficult, most likely. Things should be very achievable if you are running at the recommended star level. Down here it'll show you what your rewards are. In this case it has a special relic, which is Stalker's Blade, Wild Fragments, Legend Points, and Champion EXP. So these are just your rewards. That's not so important for the basics, so I won't dig into that too much here. And we'll just jump in and go through sort of more of the basics around how an individual match works. So this is our adventure map. The first thing we will get is a power. Powers are permanent boosts that happen in each round. This will assist your character in some way. In some cases that's having additional units. In some cases that's having effects when you do things. Here you can see this one, when you play a spell, a random ally in your hand will get +1/+1. So there's certain cards in your decks that are spells. Here, anything that says, like if this says burst, slow, fast, or focus, those are all spells. So here these are both burst spells. Jinx also has a champion spell, which is a fast spell. And this is a slow spell that she gets when she levels up or triggers special conditions. I will talk about the difference of those once we get into the game, just because that determines how those spells can be interacted with. This one summons a Sting Officer, so this is a unit. So you'll get a free unit at the start of each match. This unit has some special triggers and other things that go along with it, but the main thing from this is just that every single time you start a match, you will get a free unit. And with this one, whenever an enemy summons a unit with at least 2 health, it deals 1 damage to it. So it's not going to kill 1 health creatures automatically. You don't just get to freely remove things, but it will lower their strength so that it's easier for you to remove them. In this case, we'll just grab this one. It's as you can see, it has the blue highlighting. This means it's a rare relic, or sorry, rare power. This is, common powers. Typically, rare powers are going to be stronger than the common powers. And similarly, then there's epic powers, which are purple, and then legendary powers, which are yellow or gold. So we'll select this. Once you go into a match, we have some dialogue here, but we'll go ahead and click fight. Similar to the adventure overall, as we mentioned, the adventure has a impact for that whole adventure, but then each encounter also has an impact for that. So in this case, it says at game start, create a Noxia Arena. So this is a landmark that costs 1. So they get this in hand, so it's not just going to automatically be on the board, but a landmark is essentially something that can be placed on your play area that will have effects that can be triggered. In this case, at round end, the strongest ally and the weakest enemy both strike each other, so this can be good for the enemy to help remove your weaker characters while keeping their stronger characters alive, and making sure that they remove them. So that's what the enemy powers are. This is very similar to your powers. It's just something that benefits them typically. Here we have what will be your starting hand. You can sort of mulligan or toss cards back to draw different cards. In general, you will start with one mana gem on turn 1, get a second mana gem on turn 2, third mana gem on turn 3, and so on. We do, in this case, have a power, which does give us +1 starting mana. So actually on turn 1, we will have 2 starting mana once we actually start the match. But typically, that's how the mana gems work. Each of these cards has a mana cost. So you can see in the upper left here, this costs 2 mana, 1 mana, 2 mana, 3 mana. We most likely cannot play higher cost cards early on, so we want a nice curve where we can play a card each turn and make sure that we have presence on our board. These then have power in the bottom left and toughness in the bottom right. As mentioned before, you use, when you're like attacking and defending, characters will both fight each other. Characters will use their power to subtract from the enemy's toughness, and similarly, the enemy's power will subtract from your toughness. Both characters will hit each other at the same time. If either one kills the other, that will be removed from the game, and if they manage to survive, they will remain on the board, but they will continue to have that reduced health. Unlike magic, it doesn't just regenerate at the end of the turn. There are specific keywords you can get that do allow you to regenerate that health, but typically that character is permanently damaged until they are removed or some other effect restores their health or changes it. Characters also can have keywords. So here you can see this elusive keyword is very similar to flying from magic, or I believe there's similar mechanics in like Hearthstone, where only characters that are elusive can interact with each other. So here I have a normal character that is not elusive. If this elusive character was attacking from the enemy, I would not be able to block that character with this one because they effectively cannot see them. However, if I have an elusive character and the enemy's attacking with an elusive character, they are able to interact with each other. So yeah, just the same way like flying works in magic. There is also another keyword called sharp sight, where a character can block elusive characters, but when they're attacking, they are not considered elusive, so normal characters like this one could block them. Quick attack, very similar to first strike from magic. This allows a character to hit, and if they kill the other character, then that character does not get to strike back. So that way, even if the other character has more power than this one has toughness, as long as this one kills that one, it does not end up getting to attack back and remove this one from the board. So let's just go ahead and replace one of the cards from our hand so that we see how that works. So that gets tossed back. We get a new card in its place. Like I said, at the start of our turn, we gain a mana gem, so we have 2 mana gems. That was partially from one of the powers we have with this character that we unlocked. We can now spend these mana gems, and then we can play cards. If we don't spend any mana gems, we have these 3 dots you can see on the right over here that remain. Our mana will go to these 3 dots, and this is called spell mana. This can be used for any of these spell cards that we have here, but cannot be used to play the character cards. So this is a way where if you want to preserve mana, or you want to interact with a character later, this allows you to store that up and leverage it later. In Runeterra, turns work a bit differently than in standard like Magic or Hearthstone. Rather than me taking my entire turn and them taking their entire turn, I play a card, and then the enemy gets a chance to play a card. So as you can see, the interaction is much more back and forth. I do something, they do something. I do something, they do something. There are some cards that avoid this. For instance, burst speed. As I was mentioning, there's burst, fast, slow, and focus. Both burst and focus speed cards allow you to do something and continue your turn. The main difference between burst and focus is that focus requires it to be your turn. You can't be reacting to what somebody else is doing. So if someone casts a spell or does something like that, you can't react to it with a focus speed spell. It has to be, your sort of initiative. However, with burst speed, if someone plays like a fast spell, you can play a burst spell in response, and that will happen instantly. This game also has a stack. So if you are playing something that is slow or fast, it'll show up in the middle here, and there can be up to 10 things on the stack, and those will happen in sequential order. And it's last in, first out in that sense. So the last spell that's played is the first one to go off. The first spell that's played is the last one that goes off. So people can continue to react to each other's spells or play multiple spells in order to fill up the stack and make sure that they get their triggers off. If the opponent has no mana gems or anything like that, it's unlikely they will be able to react. There are ways to get things down to 0 cost, so you are able to still react if you have some 0 cost cards, but in general, you can consider it fairly free if the enemy has no mana remaining. As mentioned, the turns work a bit differently in Legends of Runeterra. One player who's it's their main turn, they will get an attack token. This means that they can attack during this round. The other player cannot attack during that round. Once both players pass, it'll go to the next round. Each player gains 1 additional mana gem, and the attack token goes to the other side. Rounds end when both players pass or can't do anything. So if I were to pass here, because this enemy has no mana gems, they would likely pass as well, and my turn would end, and I would never get a chance to attack. Even though I still have spell mana available, I can still do something. So in this case, I will just go ahead and attack in here so that I use my turn before it ends. So now I get another chance to do so. They passed their turn, they couldn't do anything. I could cast one of my spells. In this case, I'm not going to. I'm just going to end the round instead. So they played a character. Again, I can spend mana. I still have that spell mana left over from last time. That carries over. Our general mana gems don't. But again, any access mana gems I have will become spell mana up to a maximum of 3. So I will go ahead and play another card. So they're attacking. I'm definitely going to want to defend here, both to preserve my Nexus health and because I know at the end of the turn, if I left this guy alive, he would strike my weakest character, which is right now this one. Weakest is determined by lowest power, and then if things are tied for lowest power, it'll choose the one that also has the lowest toughness. And then again, strongest is just the character with the highest power. If two characters are tied for highest power, then the strongest is the one with the highest toughness after that. So we could defend here, in which case both of these would die, but because we saved our spell mana, we can use a burst speed spell, and we can just go ahead and remove that guy. So that removes it. I now don't really need to block. There's nothing left for me to block, so I'll skip block. And just to show how the mana gets left over, I will go ahead and click pass here. And you can see that leftover mana went to my spell mana. I draw another card, and now it's my turn. I have the attack token, and in this case, I have a bunch of cards on the board. Rather than letting them play something, I can just go ahead and attack. Now they have a card that's able to react. So this is a fast speed spell. This means it goes on the stack. You can see I can react to it. So if I wanted to, it would be somewhat silly of me to do this, but I'll do it as an example. I can actually remove this card and cause this one to fizzle. I can kill this unit myself. So now this one that had no target and it fizzled. That can be helpful in other way. In this case, that really was just a waste of my mana. But I can sometimes have things where I'm like, okay, sacrifice one of my own characters to draw cards, or if theirs had an effect where if it kills one of my characters, it, creates a creature for them or something like that, where it would be handy for me to prevent that effect from going off. So if I kill the target of their spell, then their spell fizzles. So using reactions like that can be very helpful just in general when playing the game. Then I'll just go ahead and play another card here. So their Nexus here is at 1 health. Once this reaches 0, the round ends. And I can just go ahead and play another card and the round will end. Before I do that, so the main way that a game can end is by reaching 0 Nexus health. There is another way the game can end, though. If any player goes to draw a card and there are 0 cards left in their deck, so right now I have 9 cards left in my deck. If we were just to keep ending rounds here until my deck went down to 0 and I tried to draw another card, then I would lose the game. Regardless of how much health I have with my Nexus, once I try to draw a card and I have no cards left, I lose. This is different from like Hearthstone, where every time you're out of cards, your Nexus or your champion takes progressively more damage. This one is just an instant loss the second you have no cards to draw, so be aware of that. So I will play one more card. That'll end the match, and that is just the basics of the Runeterra match and how that works. I'll leave it at that just to keep it short, but hopefully that provides just sort of a base explanation of how a turn works and how you go through a game or match of Legends of Runeterra. Let me know if you have any feedback or questions about this, and I'll try to address it as quickly as I can. Thank you very much.